Hello and welcome back to Data for Knowledge. This is a podcast where we explore diabetes care through a lens of knowledge, compassion, resilience, and empowerment. I'm Bronwyn Newman. I'm a credentialed diabetes educator and the director of SHG. My vision is to help people living with diabetes move beyond fear, blame, and overwhelm, and instead develop confidence, understanding, and self-compassion. Diabetes management is not about perfection. It's about learning, adapting, and finding what works for you. Today, we're discussing a topic that has transformed diabetes care around the world, which is data for knowledge, not data for guilt. We'll explore how continuous glucose monitors, or CGM, can help improve time in range, reduce diabetes burden, and support people living with type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and gestational diabetes. Most importantly, we'll discuss how the use of data as a tool for learning is not a measure of success, failure, or self-worth. So what is continuous glucose monitoring? A continuous glucose monitor is a small sensor worn on the body that measures glucose levels throughout the day and night. Unlike traditional finger prick testing, CGM provides real-time glucose readings, trend arrows showing where your glucose is heading, alerts for high and low glucose levels, information about patterns and trends, insight into how food, activity, medication, illness, stress, sleep, and hormones affect glucose levels. Rather than a single snapshot, CGM provides a movie of what is happening, and that movie can be incredibly valuable. Data is information, not judgment. Many people tell me, I feel like I failed when I see a high number. Or I don't even want to scan because I'm scared of what I'll see. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. But here's something important to remember. Glucose values are information, they are not a report card. A glucose reading cannot tell us whether you're a good person, a good parent, or whether you've worked hard enough. It simply tells us what's happening physiologically at that moment. Every glucose reading is an opportunity to learn. What worked well? What influenced this result? Is there a pattern emerging? What small adjustments might help? Curiosity is far more helpful than criticism. Understanding your time in range. So traditionally, diabetes management focused heavily on HbA1c. While HbA1c remains important, CGM introduces another valuable measure, which is the time in range. So time in range measures the percentage of time glucose levels stay within a target range. For many adults with diabetes, the commonly used target range is 3.9 moles to 10 moles. Although targets may vary based on individual circumstances. Research shows that improving your time in range is associated with better long-term outcomes and reduced risk of complications. A useful guide is every 5% improvement in time in range matters. Small changes can lead to meaningful health benefits. Progress is more important than perfection. What can CGM teach us? So CGM helps answer questions such as food responses. How do different foods affect your glucose levels? You may discover certain breakfast foods, they can cause significant elevations. Proteins help stabilize your glucose. Meal times or the timing of your meals affect the control or the levels. Portion size matters. So knowledge allows informed decisions. Physical activity. Movement often improves insulin sensitivity, but then we can have alterations. So CGM can demonstrate how walking after meals help. effects of resistance training, responses to endurance exercise, delayed overnight lows after prolonged activity or elevations that are prolonged. This information helps people exercise more confidently. Stress and emotional health. Stress hormones can significantly impact glucose levels. CGM often reveals patterns linked to work stress, exams, family pressures, poor sleep, anxiety. And understanding these connections can reduce self-blame and encourage self-care. Medication and insulin adjustments. CGM can assist you and your diabetes care team to evaluate your basal insulin effectiveness, mealtime insulin timing, insulin to carbohydrate ratios, your medication responses. It can give insight into risk of hypoglycemia. The results is often more individualized care. So we've discussed very briefly about type 1 diabetes and CGM. So now we're going to discuss the benefits of CGM in type 2 diabetes. CGM is increasingly being used in type 2 diabetes management. So the benefits may include increased understanding. Many people are surprised to discover how various foods, stress, illness, and inactivity influence glucose levels. This knowledge can empower healthier choices. So, improved motivation. Seeing improvements in real time can be incredibly encouraging. People often feel more connected to their progress when they can see the impact on their efforts. Earlier identification of patterns. So CGM can highlight overnight hyperglycemia or prolonged hypoglycemia in type 2. It can highlight post-meal spikes, undetected lows, medication timing issues. This allows for early intervention, supporting lifestyle changes rather than guesswork. Individuals can observe the direct impact of physical activity, nutrition changes, weight management strategies, sleep improvements. Knowledge becomes personalized. So the benefits, we're going to go and discuss the benefits of CGM in gestational diabetes. So CGM is becoming an increasingly valuable tool during pregnancy. Pregnancy is a time when glucose targets are often tighter, and women can feel significant pressure to achieve them. CGM can improve reassurance and guidance, improved understanding, so women can see which meals are working well when glucose rises unexpectedly, patterns that may otherwise be missed. It reduces finger prick burden, although some finger prick testing may still be required because CGM can reduce the burden of repeated monitoring, but we still need to check our blood glucose levels manually. Early detection of trends. So CGM may identify overnight elevations, again, post-meal excursions, areas requiring dietary adjustments to improve your glucose levels, times when insulin therapy may need consideration. So this is supporting maternal and baby health. Maintaining glucose levels within target ranges can support healthier outcomes for both mother and baby. Most importantly, CGM can provide information that allows timely intervention and collaborative care. So the emotional side of CGM. Let's be honest, CGM can be incredibly helpful, but it can also feel overwhelming. Seeing glucose values constantly may lead some people to feel anxious, become hyper-focused on numbers, Fear making mistakes, experiencing diabetes burnout. This is where mindset matters. Remembering you are not your glucose level. You are not your time in range percentage. You are not your HbA1c. You are a person managing a complex condition whilst balancing your work, your family, your relationships, finance, stress, illness, sleep, and life itself. So, using CGM as a guide, not as a judge. Building a healthy relationship with data. When reviewing CGM data, trying to ask, what patterns am I noticing? What is going well? What surprises me? What is one thing I could experiment with? What support might help? Focus on learning rather than perfection. Small, sustainable changes often outperform dramatic short-term efforts. The power of collaborative care. So, CGM is most effectively utilised when used alongside a supportive diabetes care team. This may include your primary GP, an endocrinologist, a credentialed diabetes educator, an accredited practicing dietitian, a pharmacist, exercise physiologist. For pregnancy, it may be your obstetric care team. Together, data can be interpreted in context, helping create realistic and achievable goals. So, very brief about CGM, but for some closing thoughts, as we finish today's episode, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Data is for knowledge, not guilt. Every glucose reading tells a story. Every trend offers an opportunity to learn. Every challenge provides information that can help guide the next step. You don't need perfect numbers, you need understanding. You need support, and you need kindness towards yourself. Because diabetes management is not about being perfect, it's about building confidence, making informed choices, continuing forward one day at a time. So thank you for joining me for this episode on data for knowledge, not data for guilt. Until next time, I love saying this, but be curious, be compassionate with yourself, and remember that progress is built one step at a time. Take care.